Mhm.
All right, so we're
This
going to talk about
movie,
Lifeforce, huh?
this fucking movie. So again, this movie was
We
hyped
hold on.
hyped to shit.
I think that weirdly enough that John's got a quarter on the table for this one.
I went opening night.
Let
Same
him
here. Same here.
let Chris
We'll do that
go and
later. Do
Well,
your
I
first
just
first, and we're going to talk about our first
I
impressions.
went opening night at the
yeah.
Napa Cinedome.
Uh-huh.
I brought Frank Gravatt with me. We were so excited to see this movie, and by the time the movie was over, we were like, "What the fuck was that?"
Oh no, the opposite. Came over from Santa Cruz, went over to the hill to San Jose. We first saw Cocoon at the 150.
Yeah,
The same theater I saw Alien in, right? It was like that was
Slightly
great.
different tone.
But then again, went over, then had lunch, went over to the Century 23 and saw this, and I was blown away because 70 millimeter, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw 70 millimeter, and there's part in near the end where the guy shoots the scientific dude who's saying like, "Here I go," that guy. You can
yeah.
bang left channel, the bullet goes to the right channel. You hear it hit the floor with a ding and roll around into the surrounds. It was like, yeah,
Wow.
I love that shit. Anyway, what a film! This was balls to the wall. Just you're gonna make a space vampires film. This is
If
where you
you
go.
gave Roger Corman $100 million, he would make this.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I was gonna make a pie chart, and if I had,
Uh-huh.
this is what I'd put on it:
All right.
50% Quatermass in the Pit, or as we know it in the United States, 5 million years to
5 million
Earth.
years to Earth, masterpiece movie.
50% Quatermass in the Pit, 20% any Hammer Studios vampire movie,
Yep.
10% Poltergeist, 10% Alien, 10% Shaun of the Dead or any zombie movie. And I haven't seen Species, but I'm guessing that's about 10% of that.
It followed
Yeah.
on this a lot of
I
ways.
know some of these movies came after, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying this is what this thing is
11
made of.
years, 10 years later. And again, the lamest excuse to have a really hot chick walk around with no clothes you've ever seen.
Oh my God, I'm gonna argue that.
By the way, my pie chart adds up to 110%, but that's fine for this movie because this
Yeah.
movie is a lot.
You probably have another 30 or 40% could go on this film.
Now, wait, which
Fucking
version
A.
did you watch, John? Did you watch the shorter one or the longer one?
I think I watched the theatrical
The
cut.
theatrical is like an hour 41. The director's cut is 2 hours. And
More boobs?
No.
No, more stuff in the spaceship.
More time to think about the lunacy that you were watching, which does not do this movie any favors.
No, it doesn't.
Dude, there is so much in this movie.
The shorter film moves along really nice.
Well, that's the thing. When you get like I remember like Jesus, they're like I felt like the credits just ended and we're already at the spaceship.
I know.
They just dissolve. Like to just get through the material, they just dissolve to a scene later, and now they're doing this.
Most of that extra 20 minutes is all at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no. We're at the 5 minute mark and we're already like pulling the vampires out of the ship.
I mean, they're just like, well, how do we get these out of here? Next shot, they're floating into the ship. Yeah, they're like,
yeah, good stuff. The thing is, there's a tone about this film about the characters. It's about a space vampire film, right? These guys from outer space, and
based on a book called Space Vampires.
Based on a book called Space Vampires. So yeah, and so these guys molded themselves to look like humans, and that Matilda May, our space girl, is supposed to be the counterpart to our main character, right?
And if not for her, we would still not be talking about this movie 30 or 40 years later.
True enough, but everyone is all the characters are so matter of factual about everything. It's like
100% straight.
Yes,
and that's the Quatermass bit, or you could put Andromeda Strain in this too.
Yeah.
No winking at the camera.
No, they're taking the material at face value.
Absolutely, and it's so fucking crazy. And it's just like, come on over. I have the sword, which is iron coated in lead. You're gonna need this.
Yeah, because this is how we used to kill vampires. They were here before, didn't you know that? Like,
Peter Firth, fucking Patrick Stewart, like just Shakespearean actors deadpanning this shit.
Patrick Stewart screaming his head off and almost kissing Steve Railsback.
Peter Firth in this film is like the ground cable. He's like, every time he's in there, he's actually just trying to get the story going. He's trying to get to the bottom of what's going on. He never
until the
Dr. Exposition.
Yeah.
Till what?
Best line in the movie.
Which is?
Oh, but I'm a natural voyeur.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it's like that's when I throw the table over.
Yeah. There's also a bit in I think it was later on when they interviewed the woman who got possessed by the space girl, and it's like, for some reason, Steel Greybox says she's a natural masochist, and it's like, well, it went on. It's like, this has nothing to do with anything. Why are you saying that? It doesn't matter.
I had forgotten that, but yeah.
Yes.
This is the guy that wrote Alien, for fuck's sake.
Oh yeah, Dan O'Bannon, right?
Yeah.
You can kind of tell.
Yeah, kind of. They're just kind of running with it. Exactly.
He's also the guy that wrote Dark Star.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
No,
But,
it's this movie is fucking. Every time I watch it, I'm like, this is nuts.
It's
This is
bananas.
bananas.
But so much fun. It is so much fun.
I really enjoyed it. It was kind of a
high security zone and like windows blowing up and shit like that. That's like, why not, right?
Chris, I knew of this by its reputation, and that by that I mean because you always fucking talk about it, and it's been years and years and years and years, and I'd never seen the thing, but I certainly had sort of a picture of it in my mind, but it couldn't live up to what the film actually. The picture in my mind was not as good as the film that I ended up watching.
So in other words, you were not disappointed. You were like,
I loved it. I fucking loved every minute of it.
That's great.
That makes me so happy because I hadn't watched it.
It is.
He's the guy who hadn't seen it before, so we're like, yeah, John.
It is something else.
They just went for it. It's a fun
They
film.
really did.
The British angle is just makes it it's droll, but it's also kind of serious.
It's sort of like I said, it's sort of procedural. It's just these scientists all this like, well, we've got this one here and it takes 2 hours and then this one's going to do this. And I loved all that bit. It got a little less interesting to me when it sort of went bananas and there were people rioting in the streets and everything. When it was contained they were running through all those doors and heads were melting and shit.
That set with the 17 glass doors.
So many fucking doors. And then
what was that?
The first guy runs through like the 5 doors and then immediately gets killed. And then the second guy sees it on the video monitor and it's like, oh, I guess he's going to run through the 5 doors now. And
pretty much. And so he does. Bing, bang, bing, bang, bing, bang.
Why are these here? Why was this created?
Because they need to slow things down. They need the 5 glass doors, Dan.
It's to build suspense.
Pretty much.
I mean, the music, Henry Mancini.
I know, isn't that weird?
Who knew?
The pedigree on this movie, like it was all like at the time fairly A-listers, and
yeah.
The thing I really appreciate about both of these movies is that this was a period of time when you could make a genre movie that never once felt like it had to wink at the audience, which is so fucking rare these days. Like everything's got to be so meta or self-referential, or I don't know whether Scream was the first one. Like we know we're in a movie now and this is as stupid as you think it is.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody in this movie is playing it completely straight.
We have not fallen into cynicism at this
point.
Both
of them.
I think that's part of the joy of it. Yeah.
The charm of it, really.
I completely agree.
It's a charming thing because it's just like this is no winks. You're right. It's out in front.
No
this
winks.
Is about space vampires and a naked chick for 20 minutes.
No winks, and this happened.
Yes,
several times.
Also, it's a wonderfully sick premise in that you get zapped by the girl and you become like a skeleton guy. Then you
become a desiccated corpse.
You come alive again, and you have to take that thing and and the guy you can see he's freaked the fuck out when he like. I feel great. Oh shit! What'd I just do?
Right.
And 1 hour later, you see I guess it was kind of neat how they established the premise.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to the end, and I gotta find that still again.
And this is again
this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Remember at the beginning of the film, this guy's talking about about life after death. That was his big concern. Like we don't know if there's life after death. At the end, even though he turned into a space vampire, he's like. This is life after death. It actually is a real thing. Here I go. Right? So it was neat. So there was a secondary arc talking about that, and it was just so much fun. And Patrick Stewart chewed all the scenery in the world.
Oh my god. The Patrick Stewart dummy head with the ooze coming out.
Oh yeah.
What the hell? That I mean, in a movie of bananas shit, that scene in the helicopter with all the blood
together, the blood version of her.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, and I forgot what she did, but she turned into like manifested.
She ended up all over the floor.
I think she.
Yeah, it's like it didn't work. It was trying to reform, and then it didn't work.
There's 2 lines like blah, 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 and she fell apart. That's basically it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
my God.
Fucking
I mean, if you want to. I don't even know if this thing is sort of criticism proof, but it does kind of play fast and loose with its own rules because it keeps sort of changing how things work. throughout the
I
movie.
thought it was actually kind of strict about that, but go ahead, tell me why.
It was for the 2 hour thing, and it was being passed from one person to another and all that. But then it's like inconsistent because there was that crazy blood lady scene in the helicopter, which
That
that
was
wasn't
unusual. That
established.
was the only unusual thing, though.
But then at the end, when she drives the sword through the other alien, the male alien, and he
Stop
just
right
turns
now.
into this big like vampire bird bat thing.
That's
Like, well, nobody else did that when they got
That's their
killed.
original form. He actually was able to get rid of their disguise and show them how they really look, which is
But then she gets stabbed with the same sword, and that other guy gets stabbed with the same sword, and that doesn't happen to either of them.
That's the part that departed. You know, I didn't. It's kind of weird that they had the double stab thing at the end. Didn't have.
And why didn't it kill her? And instead of they both went up in the light into the ship.
Vampire heaven, I guess, is what.
So okay, I left one of the things out of my pie chart. It's the ending of Star Trek, the motion picture.
A little bit.
Ilea and what's his name?
Sure.
Big early Riker, Proto Riker.
Yeah, Proto Riker with
Riker guy. I can't remember his name either.
Yeah, Stephen Collins, and they merge and go up into the light.
You wanted the Enterprise. I want this.
Yeah,
good stuff. All right. Well, we have.
I mean, now, the question for me is, what did Tobe Hooper bring to the table? Right. So this is the movie he made, I think, right after Poltergeist.
Yes, is this after Poltergeist?
Just after.
This is Poltergeist is 82. This is 85, and then
he followed up with. I'm not sure.
I think.
I mean, some of those swirling souls that looked very Poltergeist to me.
A little bit.
Also, you see. Go ahead.
The knock is obviously no one thinks Tobe Hooper really actually directed Poltergeist. I think it was Spielberg there the whole time. Well, and I mean, like, let's face it, the movies he made after this movie, Invaders from Mars, I can't even remember. Like, they weren't. Yeah, I mean, like, this is good. This and Texas Chainsaw, I think he gets full responsibility for.
Actually, Texas Chainsaw and Last House on the Left, you see him unrestrained. He's
Last House on the Left is Wes Craven.
Sorry, I meant that some of their film that came out that same year. I can't remember the name of it, but he did a horror film after Texas Chainsaw.
After Chainsaw?
Yeah. I can't. The name is blanking on me. It was Wes Craven. You're right. Either way, he was bonkers. The thing is, this film exposes the fact that in Poltergeist,
Eaten Alive, 1976.
Yeah, Eaten Alive, exactly. He's just out there, right? But this shows that during Poltergeist, this is what Spielberg was doing to him. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that. He got some places where the guy pulled his face off, like that was kind of cool, but he was restrained by the big budget and Spielberg. And this one's like, they came over to was it Golden Globus?
Golden Globus. Chucking money.
Here's the money. Go make the movie. It's
I understand this was the second or third most expensive movie Canon Films ever made.
I believe it. It actually, even though it looks cheesy, it looks expensive and cheesy.
It's actually a well-mounted production.
By 85 standards, this was big.
The spaceship interiors are huge, and they're actual practical sets, I think.
Take this film and take, like, say, Moonraker.
Yeah.
Well, they're kind of the same in terms of how they're the production.
Kind of an aesthetic. It makes me think of the Donner Superman movies too. There's a certain quality to these sets and the special effects, the way they look.
Yeah. So there's a way that British people put together these films, and this is part of it. And this is good stuff. So
no, and again, I mean, the only reason anybody still talks about this movie 40 years later is because of Matilda May, who apparently didn't even speak English when she started making this movie.
Learned English on the set, basically.
Oh my God!
Apparently had no problem in it. Like there was a parade of actresses that were offered that part, and all was like, "I'm not to take my clothes off for the entire length of a movie," and she was like, "What's the problem?"
Yeah,
but I mean.
And she's earned her place in movie history.
She's a French model and ballerina. We used the ballerina thing, and that's you kind of see that.
Apparently,
did she make any movies after this?
Like
one. Actually, like one or two.
Yeah, one or two. Like, and then just whatever. I mean, like, you can't top this. This is bonkers.
Yeah, no.
I'm thrilled to death that you actually enjoyed it because, like, again, this is one I know the other three would probably dunk on from a high height.
Yes.
This is my.
What's not to love?
This is my Grizzly too.
Yeah. Right.
Well, we're the old guard for this kind of thing, so this is
for sure
totally aimed to us. So
I like this movie way more than I did opening night, though. I'll tell you, be like, whatever was built up in my mind because of endless cover stories and Cinefantastique and Fangoria and Starlog. When I like,
had to be a letdown.
By the time the credits ran, I was like, what the like what the hell was that? Was stupid as fuck.
I loved
it is stupid as
I love
fuck.
it every little bit as much now. I just think they're just it's
there's it's a cult movie now that everybody likes because it's bananas.
Yeah.
Right. Well, there it is. All right. Well, we got thumbs, I guess.
Oh yeah, no,
I have no problem saying yes. It was good. How about you, John?
I guess I was going to criticize it for anything. I think it kind of needed a Quatermass. It needed like a central character that wasn't Steve Railsback, because that's a questionable. That is a questionable casting choice at best.
Railsback was unusual.